Good morning, one and all, once again, and we'll be starting today now uh, a topic called construction of an IC engine. Like human beings, we have an engine, also various systems. Like even me have had started. So we have how your body is. We have various systems. For example, the food which is we eating will have a system called digestive system, where it gets converted into chemical energy, and that energy is again used by our body. Okay. So similarly, we have the combustion system, where the fuel gets burnt. Okay, that's one system, and we have the nostrils, etc. Because whatever air we inhale, that's also equally important for us to have. So these are the ducts, and we have some arrangement in the human body too. We have some filters. The primary filter is the one, and that air gets into your lungs. Then it gets purified further and given to the blood. So that blood gets circulated right in the human body. Similarly, for not to ensure a proper combustion, we'll be having what is called as air fuel supply system. And also, the engine runs very hot. So, be it a petrol engine or a diesel engine or a two-stroke or four-stroke, whatever. So, the engine, because there will be a lot of combustion which is happening, combustion of fuel happening inside this small area cylinder. So, that generates a lot of heat energy. So after executing some work, that energy thrust on the piston, so then comes still will be having some additional heat. Some heat gets out of the engine cylinder through the burnt gases, or what you call the flue gases, and we get it through the a system called exhaust system. One is exhaust system. So then the fuel supply system, fuel and air, that's for the supply of fuel into the engine cylinder. Then exhaust system, like we have a combustion system, then convert the respirative motion into rotary mechanism. So for that again we have a transmission system. Okay. Likewise, we have several things in that. So now you have a look at one engine which is displayed on your screen. So you have several components which will be using it. So for example, here we have a spark plug, a spark plug kind of thing here. So in place of spark plug, we'll be having injector in the case of diesel engine. Okay. So we'll be having that ignition system, and another system will be having ignition system. This ignition system in the case of SA engine will be having what is called a coil and battery and a switch to turn on the give the power to the ignition system such that it just generates a spark at the time which is needed. When the piston goes to the upper dead center during the compression stroke. So air fuel mixture gets compressed in the cylinder. Okay. So at that particular time, when it is about to reach the top dead center, the ignition of the fuel happens through spark generated by the spark plug. And this is what is called as a timing for ignition by generating the spark. So in the case of diesel engine, same process again. Only air is compressed, then at that particular instant, when it's about to reach top dead center, the air is compressed with a higher compression ratio. That's 1:22 to 26, we can have it. And that's the ratio. So that means the air is sufficiently hot enough such that the fuel now injected, that's called as a fuel injection timing. So we'll be having in place of a coil like this, in place of coil and a spark plug, we'll be having what is called injector and the fuel pump. And this fuel pump will be having for every cylinder one. For every cylinder, we'll be having one spark plug or one injector. Okay, such that you can see the engine, tractor engine probably you might have seen when you open the bonnet, you can see so many pipes going to the engines on the cylinder head like this. No, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing. When you see these pipes 4 going to the engine cylinder head, you can easily count number of cylinders. That means by looking at the number of pipes, external pipes, that copper tubes, you can easily judge, okay, this engine has got 4 cylinders. Suppose if you see only 3, you will be having 3 cylinders. That's in the case of CI engine. Okay, combustion ignition or diesel engines. In the case of petrol engine, like a Maruti 800, you can see 3 cables going to the cylinder head. White cables, or red cable, something, it just goes in. Different of the make of the engines will be have some color. They goes to the spark plug. So for every cylinder, you need to have at least 1 spark plug. So if you find 3 such cables, going into the engine cylinder head, then you can imagine, you can decide, okay, this particular engine has got 3 cylinders. So this is the arrangement. So here, what is that we are now discussing? One particular system that's called as ignition system or the firing system. Ignition system in the case of SI engine or the petrol engine, and firing system is in the case of a diesel engine or CI engine. Okay. So when injection is the fuel droplets enters into the engine, a fine mist, like you get the vapors, the steam vapors. So kind of thing gets into the cylinder through the injector with force. 3 pinters, cone kind of thing just emerge like this into the engine cylinder. So that means covering larger area. And by then each molecule, fine droplets or small molecule, when they come in contact, the first molecule come in contact with the hot air in case of diesel engine or compression ignition engine. So then it catches fire. So in case of multi-cylinder engines, whether it's a petrol engine or diesel engine, there will be a certain rotation of the pistons or different levels. We'll be seeing that in success slides. Okay. So there is what is called as a firing order or ignition order. We'll be having that. So now we can see next is the exhaust valve or the system. So exhaust pipe and the piston together constitutes your exhaust system. Exhaust system. So the burnt gases inside the cylinder has to vacate the place for a fresh air or fresh air fuel mixture entering into the cylinder. I would like to remind you, when I use air, that must be compressed in the cylinder. That means it is a compression ignition engine or diesel engine. We'll do one thing, like maybe first we'll take only one engine, that's like a petrol engine. First we'll discuss about it, then we can again discuss about diesel engine, so that we'll not be having that kind of confusion. So in the case of only petrol engine, so air fuel mixture is sucked into the engine cylinder through a mechanism called air fuel mixture is mixed externally outside the engine cylinder. So these are the arrangements we have. These are the arrangements we have. See, this is the chamber. So we have a throttle valve. No, that's like accelerator. Either you increase the air supply mixture into the cylinder, or you can decrease. So when it is you just switch it on. So then that particular condition of the engine is called idling. That's the idling. That means it will be generating just enough energy to keep running. That means you'll be having a lean fuel mixture coming into. So I think I did discuss with you about the fuel and air mixture. So we have 3 types of mixture strength. So one is a lean mixture, that means a more percentage of air and less percentage of fuel. And other one is rich mixture, more percentage of fuel and correspondingly lesser percentage of air. And other one is chemically correct mixture strength. That means it is whatever percentage you just design, that much percentage just comes in. So definitely it's not 1:1. Okay. So will be having more quantity of fuel in the rich mixture and less quantity of fuel in the lean mixture, and just enough for proper combustion. No extra, no less. That's what is called chemically correct mixture strength. When you write a chemical equation, that is totally balanced. So you'll not be having anything other than heat generation. So that is the chemically correct mixture strength, and also it's called as stoichiometric mixture strength. So how are you going to vary this? Depend on the load and the speed in case of a mobile engine, automobile engine. So if you want to vary the speed, so then you will be increasing accelerator. That accelerator is the one mechanism, what you call, there's a throttle that increases the fuel supply or decreases the fuel supply, depending on the load requirement or the speed requirement. And the air fuel mixture, air is drawn from the atmospheric air into the air filter. That air filter filters the dust particles or foreign particles in the air within the filter, and only visibly clean air gets into the carburetor. In the carburetor, this air get mixed with the fuel, which is entering into the air in the form of a fine jet. So this pressure difference is created by the downward moving piston. It sucks in. That creates this kind of jet coming out. There's no other mechanism. It's only the passing air. It just draws it. So that gets mixed during the length of travel into the engine cylinder. So there we'll be having a thoroughly mixed air and fuel mixture enters into the engine cylinder during the first process, that is the suction process. So this entire thing, including suction process, the air filter to carburetor and fuel tank supply, all those things put together called as fuel supply system. So then we have the other arrangement you can see. One is, this is what I was talking about, the flywheel having a gear, having a gear. Here, what is this? A starter motor. This is the starter motor there. These are external things I'm just talking to you now. So outside the engine block, you'll be having some other components. Okay. So in this, now everybody is very easily starting either the push button start or the ignition, turn on the ignition key, that engine starts. So how this mechanism is happening? The moment you turn on the ignition key, or in the case of push button starters, today most of the cars are coming with, for example, Maruti, Ciaz, the car, and onwards, I think even Ignis also has got a push button starter in the Maruti range, and in Brezza also has the push button starter now. The first one was the Nissan car. Okay. Nissan, they came out with the push button starter. So if you push it, it's simple. You're switching it on. It completely it short circuits. Like putting on the switch bulb on. So it closes circuit such that the power goes to where the starter motor. This is the motor we have. So, yeah, this is the motor. Okay. So the starter motor, that starts rotating. So that starter motor, on one end of the shaft, it has a gear wheel. So that gets messed with a larger gear wheel mounted on the flywheel, such that rotates. That flywheel, when it rotates, that rotates the crankshaft. This is the crankshaft. This is the total mechanism from here to here. It's a crankshaft. One side you have a flywheel, the other side you have what is called as gear wheel, different types of gear wheels, in order to make some arrangement such that your inlet valve or exhaust valve starts functioning. So we have a lot of mechanisms there. I just tell you what are the things also there. So we'll be having. Okay. So this is the one which just starts the engine. Starter motor and the teeth gear, flywheel. Okay, once it just starts, that gives the energy during the lean period when the engine has to complete remaining 3 processes. only during the expansion it gets the power transmission. The remaining 3 needs energy. So this flywheel gives the energy. The other side of the crankshaft, this side, towards your right, here again some gears. So you can see this is the one gear is meshed with the small gear here, which is mounted to the crankshaft. This is the crankshaft. So this is mounted here. So this is enter. There is one dynamo. So this dynamo we use to charge the battery. This dynamo gets the power to charge your battery regularly, such that battery you need only for 3 purposes. One is maybe headlights, for the automobile or the tractor, you need to have the headlights. Next is your horn also used in that, and starting. These are the 3 basic functions of the battery will be having it. One is the starting ignition. Next, second one is for headlamps. Third one is maybe the horn. Maybe you might have seen in the farmlands, of late, many tractor drivers, they have a tape recorder also there, okay, or radio. In big volume, as it is tractor gives a lot of sound, yet people would like to listen to the music in that condition too. So that is the component which charges the battery. It has to keep on charging the battery. And you have to understand the supply range. So during the starting, the battery power, the highest power is drawn by the engine. So that's what we call starting torque. So you have to rotate the crankshaft in the very beginning, that needs more energy. So that point of time, in that motor, that's a starter motor, draws highest current, that means load. If battery is not fully charged, then battery cannot give the required energy for the starter motor to drive the crankshaft. Thus, engine will not get start. So then you might have seen that somebody will push the tractor and driver puts the gear and other things, and starting, because the crankshaft has to be rotated fast. So for that purpose, you have to ensure battery is always in a good health, and as well as it is getting charged. So that job is taken care by whenever the engine is running, the battery is getting charged by a mechanism called a battery charger mechanism. So that mechanism also gets the drive from engine only. Your starter motor gets the power from the battery gets the energy from the engine. And this dynamo converts this rotary mechanical energy into electrical energy, thus charges the battery. And you can see this is the dynamo. This is the dynamo. Okay. So that's the electrical part, like charging part. Now come back to this gear wheel. You can see you have one shaft here. When this rotates, you can see a small portion here. That's again called cam arrangement. That's the cam, eccentric. It's not full circle kind of thing. It will be having like a mango kind of thing. It depends, like a small mango. So when that rotates, that will be making like some oscillations. So you can see this is the vertical here, one cam. That means it is lifting. When here you can see we have called as a arrangement, some arrangement. So you can see so many parts here. This cam is now in the vertical position like this, such that it pushed your wall. You can observe this. That intake wall is pushed up, because giving the passage in between, so that the air fuel mixture gets into the engine cylinder, because we are talking about spark plug fitted engine, here. So it's a petrol engine. Okay. So this is pushed. You can see this is called as wall. Okay. This top is a circular kind of thing. There's a wall. So it is having a taper kind of thing. See, this is how it looks like. Both the hands together is the wall stem. This is called down. What this is called full length. No, is called walls. This is the one. It is called wall stem. Total length up to this point. and down bottom you have a spring. Those otherwise this valve is normally in a closed position. What is that? Normally in a closed position. So whenever it's loaded with the spring pushes, I mean it draws it and it's closed now. The spring is making this valve to keep this valve always normally in a closed position. So this valve has to be opened only during the suction process. During suction process. So at that point of time, this cam comes. No, this is already like this. In a rotation, it just comes. It's a higher thing. So it just pushed up. So that is pushed up against the spring load. Here we are. Spring here. Okay. This is the load. So this is pushed up now. This is moving up like this. So giving the space. So this is kept to open for, that's a timing, that's what I was telling. So that is only open for only smallest duration of time, such that the piston moving down sucks in. So by the time the piston reaches down, so this also cam moves away. The cam moves away. Thus the valve again closes, sits on the what is called as a valve seat. So it's something like hollow space. There's a valve like this, so that sits, so that it closes the supply into the engine cylinder. So this is how this valve mechanism operates. And the other side, you can see that is the exhaust side, exhaust valve. Similar mechanism, but this exhaust valve is operated by the cam during the what process? After combustion, after doing the work by the piston. So now it has to move up again. In the suction case, it is coming down. Now it is moving out, expelling all the burnt gases from the engine cylinder to the atmosphere through exhaust system. In the exhaust system, what are the things we'll be having? This exhaust valve, exhaust passage, or the exhaust pipe, and a silencer. That's a we call a muffler kind of thing. Inside, the pressure decreased and thus sound is reduced. And also, in modern vehicles like what's that BS6 or BS5, Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS, they are suggested in order to contain the pollution, atmospheric pollution, and as per the international regulations. So we are not supposed to use today on roads that BS3 or BS2 or BS1 engines. So now it is BS5 and 6. That means that there's a stringent measures now are taken such that fuel also refined such that it will not be polluting the environment to the extent that at least it is reduced now. So similarly, we have a catalytic converters also fixed in the exhaust system such that the only clean air gets out of exhaust, that's a carbon dioxide. Everything has to convert into carbon dioxide because that is going to be supply chain for the food supply chain for our crops and as well as the plants. Okay, that's the mechanism we'll be having. So you have seen this now. One is the suction side valve, other one is exhaust side valve. So this two gets the energy from the cam, and this camshaft is driven by a gear attached to the crankshaft. Okay, so that means that energy, whatever in one stroke we are generating inside the engine cylinder, that's during the power stroke or the expansion process, one process is giving power to so many other subsidiary systems. These subsidiary systems also consume some energy. Do work, this engine kind of thing. Only these are the minuses. You develop, say, a amount of energy. Each mechanism, like a battery charging mechanism, including starting and battery charging, there's some energy it needs, say X amount of energy, plus the dynamo takes some energy. Again, there's a motor, two motors, electric motors. One is the starter motor, other dynamo. The two consume little energy. So Y plus Y, plus you need energy to drive the valve mechanism system. There's a mechanical system. So that is another component. X plus Y plus Z, one component. Right? Minus A, this is the quantity relevant. So the net energy is now A minus of X plus Y plus Z equal to some number. Okay, that is the energy you get. And this cycle, particular engine, runs on a cycle called as Otto cycle. Otto cycle. So in this, you'll be having two pressure processes, two thermal processes, volume. PV diagram will be having it. So that also I'll just show you in subsequent process when we just analyze the efficiency kind of things. Okay. So further coming to the next, the lubrication system. Yet another system called as a lubrication system. So this lubrication system also needs some pump. Again, some energy is being spent in order to drive this mechanism, lubrication system. So in the case of simple engine, the rotating crankshaft itself will have a small provision, a small, what you call that, a small cup kind of thing. When it's rotating, it splashes that oil into the engine block, such that piston, connecting rod, and crankshaft, all the things will get the. So it will be having what is called as lubrication, such that the friction is reduced. Friction is the culprit. In order to overcome that friction, whatever energy generated in a small engine cylinder, something is being lost. So in order to increase our output, we have to mandatorily have a mechanism which reduces the friction. So for that purpose, we'll be having what is called as a lubrication system. Right? Is that clear? So this is the one lubrication system. And there is one more system comes into picture. So we have to see that the another thing outside, there is what is called as overheating of engine. Sometimes it so happens that engine runs very hot. It becomes so hot that maybe we may be afraid at times this engine component gets fused, they melt and become one lump piece. So because at the time of ignition, the temperature of that spark may be of the order of around 1800 degrees centigrade and above at that particular instant. Once it travels some distance, the temperature decreases. And normal operating temperature of the engine, IC engine, is anything around 600 degrees to 800 degrees centigrade. Do you think that is a small temperature? Water boils at what temperature? Anybody? At 99 degrees centigrade. 97 to 98 or 99, it starts boiling. But we say boiling point of water. Boiling point of water, theoretically, we say 100 degrees. And the freezing point of water, theoretically, we say 0 degrees. You understand? So I'm just underlining that word, theoretically. Practically should be below, and also we need to have time, just because if we bring the temperature to 100 degrees, water will not start boiling immediately. It takes some time. Similarly, the water will not become solidified at 0 temperature instantly. If you want to have instant heating, in order to get the boiling, there is a different mechanism. And similarly, the water, if you want to freeze at 0 degrees centigrade, instantly, you need to have some other mechanism. But for all practical purposes, theoretically, we say boiling point of water is 100 degrees centigrade and freezing point of water is 0 degrees centigrade. So that way, we have two ends for your thermometer too. So if we use a measure of heat, heat is energy, heat is a energy. That's a quantity. What is temperature then? Temperature is a measure of heat energy. That means the thermometer measures the quantity. You have to convert that, temperature can be converted to quantity. So you have to have the difference Q, that's heat, equal to at constant pressure Cp delta T we say, highest temperature minus lowest temperature when it engine happens, that is Q equal to Cp delta T, or Q equal to Cp, coefficient of heat at constant pressure. Cp is coefficient of heat at constant pressure. In the bracket, yeah, T2 minus T1. No, T2 minus T1. Highest temperature minus lowest temperature. Whatever we have. So we call simply delta T. Okay, we call simply delta T. Q equal to, you can remember that the heat energy, heat is normally obtained using the thermometer. Right? We get the temperatures, two temperatures, lowest temperature and highest temperature you can measure with the temperature, some heat measuring thermometer or thermal, what you call thermistors or thermocouples. So you can measure the temperature. So we will be using three. In the case of these engines, we use thermocouples such that you will be having a digital meter also now. You can measure what is the temperature. So the engine must be running at only what you call operating temperature. It should not be overheated. No? So for that purpose, in order to keep that engine cylinder and piston and other components which are exposed to the heat must be having operating temperatures. These operating temperatures inside the cylinder may be around 500 to 600 degrees centigrade, but it should not be more. So in order to contain that, suppose it's going around 800 or 600 above, then there's some mechanism which cools it. So in the cases of heavy duty engines, like your four-wheelers, tractor, all those things, and including your fuel pump set, diesel fuel pump set, they're all will be having what is called as a water cooling system. Again, water cooling system. That is the cooling system. So yet another system we are talking about now, cooling system. Cooling system is needed in order to maintain the temperature of the engine at operating temperatures. So in the mostly stationary engines, even now, okay, we'll be using water because there's a cheaply available, abundantly available in the rural side. So we're using it. But in the nowadays, cars, modern cars will have what is called as a fluid cooling systems. Earlier, our older Ambassador car and Fiat car, so for every few kilometers, few hundred kilometers, you had every day morning, they had mandatory check at least three things. One is a battery, the lubricating oil. You'll be having dipstick to measure what is the quantity present inside the sump or the crankcase. So you'll be checking the lubricating oil. So other one is, the important one is, you'll be checking radiator. Radiator is the one which this fluid, water, carries the heat, and again this has to be cooled. So for that we'll be having one more heat exchanger, that is the air cooled one. So probably you might have seen every car will have in front of a grill, a grill. Behind that grill, you have a fins vertical radiator that will have two tanks. Okay. So, well, my dear friends, today I conclude this today's session. So we are trying to understand the construction of an IC engine. So we started with trying to understand CI and SI engines, but subsequently felt the need for talking about only particular engine. So today we did discuss about only petrol engine, or otherwise it's also called as spark ignition engine, and various systems associated with it. Like first is a fuel supply system, air fuel supply system, then exhaust system, then power, then came the valve actuating mechanism, then battery charging and starting. Then we started talking about lubrication system, and the last one but not the least is the cooling system. Okay, in the subsequent classes, probably that's what I was talking to your dean, Professor Dr. Akhtar sir. Probably will be taking classes till 31st. you know. So that means I'll be having 3 more periods for you before New Year starts. Okay. So this year I'll be taking only 3 more hours for you. This year. Okay. Let's enjoy. 3 classes more. Afterwards, we'll be interacting face to face. You know, face to face. Now I cannot able to see your faces and also not able to hear everybody's voice, because if you just unmute everything, so it's going to be like a fish market kind of thing. We cannot have it. Okay. So, and also we have a lot of limitations, what is called as a bandwidth problems, etc., etc. So let us have what is that I've just shown you till date. You know, so you'll be experiencing it in the university. So probably I'll just show you physically. I will only show you and interact with you and showing each and every component which is being used in the construction of engine, and have the in-depth knowledge about it. Within no time, will get it. Okay, that's my assurance to you. And also, you can think of maybe very soon you'll be advising me, sir. I think we can just have this also here, so that it can be improved or it can be used as a better attachment for our agricultural implements. Okay. So ultimately, whatever knowledge you'll be gaining from this particular subject, you should be utilizing it in order to design the implements which are needed for your farming. So with this note, I like to conclude this session. Yeah, it's a 40 minutes duration. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you again in the next class. That's on Saturday at 10:30. Thank you very much.
Thank you.